Not to worry, playback speed 1.25. Let's go. So technically, actually, this isn't technically. It's not technically. So technically, but not technically, we are not halfway through yet. Get down, Lafayette. Get down. Because 250 videos in, we're halfway through. Hold on, let me show you what I'm looking at. And we are at 221. However, guys, we're watching at 1.25 speed, which means we have already passed the halfway mark. Yes, sir. Here we go.
A criminalist has brought back wet stains from the crime scene in the plastic bags and then has dried them. They do that in the evidence processing room that we saw earlier with the roll-up door.
That's correct.
And after those are dried and the paperwork is filled out and they're ready to be booked, what do they do with them?
Well, once all the paperwork is done and they're packaged and all the seals are in place on the packages, they're taken from the evidence processing room to the lobby of the evidence control unit, at which point they're turned over to a property officer for storage. If it's a biological, it's stored in the freezer. If it's a liquid blood or urine sample, it would be stored in some refrigeration units we have. Everything else goes on just shelves that are room temperature storage.
So when the criminalist brings items into the evidence control unit window for the purposes of booking them, they are in a sealed condition at that time?
They're supposed to be, yes.
Are there any circumstances in which they can't be sealed?
Well, if the item is so large that it doesn't fit into an envelope or a box, example, again, being a shopping cart, I had to book the shopping cart myself about 4 or 5 months ago. Obviously, that is not going to be sealed into a big box. There's no reason to. So a tag is placed on it, and it is stored back in the evidence control unit.
But items such as the coin envelopes with the biological evidence in this case, those kinds of items, or the packages containing the reference files, those would be sealed before being booked?
Yes.
Now, and if they're freezers, if they go into the freezer, they're going into the freezer that's depicted here in photograph number 26.
That's correct.
All right. Now, what about the reference vials? Where do those go?
The reference blood vials, because you do not want to freeze liquid blood that are in the vials, you just want to refrigerate them. There are units that, for the bit, it's a motorized type of unit that holds bins that is refrigerated. The blood vial in its sealed envelope is placed into a bin, placed into this unit, and then can be rotated up and out of sight or out of the way if you need to look for another one.
Why don't we take a look at the photograph that says ECU rotomats? It's photograph number 27. Is this part of the evidence control unit that we're looking at now?
Yes, it is. The picture that's marked ECU rotomats is of these units I was describing that have the bins in them that can be rotated up and down, are located mostly all along the wall that's on the bottom of the map on the chart.
Why don't we take a look at the photograph that says ECU rotomat refrigerator? It's 29. And is this one of the types of refrigerators into which the reference files are placed?
Yes, it works in exactly the same way as the regular rotomats, but it's refrigerated, so we can keep the items cool in there.
So then do these bins go all the way up to the ceiling and then in a circle, kind of on a conveyor belt type mechanism?
That's probably the best way to explain it. There's shelves that can be rotated up and around, allowing us to get a large amount of storage in that area, and then being able to bring down a particular bin that you're interested in, remove your evidence item.
Now, when reference files are stored in the rotomat refrigerator, are they stored in alphabetical order, or numerical order, or in some particular kind of order?
No.
So how does anyone ever find a reference file?
There's a evidence tracking system that we use in ECU and in the laboratory that allows us to use barcodes, and when for example, a reference blood sample inside of its sealed envelope, when it's first booked in by a criminalist or whoever, it's given a barcode. That package then is taken back to one of, and I think we have 3 that are refrigerated, placed into an open bin. The package is scanned, barcode is scanned, the location is scanned. They just put it wherever there's space for it, and then that information is loaded into the computer. So if you wanted to, at a later time, to find that blood sample, you would have to access the computer, enter in the DR number, find out what the item number is, and it would tell you in which bin it's located in which unit.
So if you tried to look for it manually, how difficult would that be?
It would be horrendous because we have probably a couple thousand at least blood samples stored in there. You'd have to go through every one of them and manually look at each one of them.
Now, with respect to the items that just have require shelf storage that don't require being placed in either the refrigerator or the freezer, where do those go?
We're looking again at the diagram. We have shelf storage units that start down in the evidence control unit about where the workroom is, and run down the middle of this corridor past where it says evidence control. There's bins that are along the walls next to the freezer, along the walls next to what's marked flammable storage. And then there's also, if those are for the larger box items, there's also shelf storage in the rotomats.
And does all of the evidence that LAPD has in its possession, is all of it placed into this room, the evidence control unit?
No.
What evidence is?
We want to only have evidence in the ECU that may someday be analyzed by the crime laboratory. The department receives very large quantities of evidence every day, and most of it we will never see within SID, within the laboratory. So we limit it to those things that will eventually be analyzed.
And are these security procedures that are set up in, well, let me ask you this first. In the evidence control unit, is there any evidence that's inherently valuable that's kept?
Well, we have narcotics in there.
And do you have anything else of inherent value?
Good. We have long guns, handguns. I believe there is some money. I don't know where that is stored, but there are things that have value in and of themselves.
So are the security procedures that are in place designed to deal with the inherently valuable evidence, such as the narcotics and firearms?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, has this facility ever had any problems with that kind of evidence being misplaced or stolen?
No, not to my knowledge.
Now, let's go to the serology lab and take a look at that. A photograph that says inside serology. Mr. Matheson, what does this photograph depict?
This is a photograph that's taken inside the serology unit, depicted on the map here. It says serology 25, and 25 is the room number. That particular photograph would have been taken probably about where the Z is in the zone 6 to 7, looking towards the right.
And towards the end of it is what appears to be a metal door. It's somewhat obscured towards the end of the room. It appears to be to the left of the clock.
Yes.
What is that?
That's a door that goes into a combination refrigerator and freezer within the serology unit. It's located, they're both located down the right side here of the unit itself. You'd enter through that middle door into the refrigerator and then walk through another door into a freezer.
What is the purpose of the freezer in that room?
Serology deals exclusively with body fluids, and they're biologicals, as mentioned earlier, that needs to be stored in such a condition so that they won't degrade. And the best way to do that is to keep it frozen. So while a case is in progress, it may be quite a while from beginning to end that evidence is within the laboratory, and we want to have freezer storage immediately accessible to the criminals that work in that unit.
Now, how does the evidence get from the evidence control unit into serology so that a criminalist can start working on it?
Well, at some point, a request is made by a detective to do an analysis. They take the request, the criminalist receives a request, takes it over to the evidence control unit, and in the lobby hands this request to one of our property officers. The property officer looks in the computer to find out where the locations are for the evidence, retrieves it from the freezer, the refrigerator, rotomats, or wherever else it happens to be located. It is then released to the criminalist, who has, like I mentioned, his barcodes. The evidence packages are barcoded or scanned. The criminalist's barcode is scanned. Then they carry it back to the unit where they work. Use serology as an example. Back in the serology unit, then the criminalist is supposed to scan again, now that it's in the serology unit, scan the packages, scan their ID, so that the evidence tracking computer knows where it is at that moment.
And while you were working on the evidence in this case, where was it stored?
It was all stored, all the biological items that I worked on was stored in the serology freezer.
In the serology, the freezer in the serology lab.
That's correct.
Now, with respect to getting into the serology lab, what is required there in terms of access?
Well, the door into the serology lab, which is located in the top part of the room here, this marked serology 25, is a card access door, just like I described before. Anybody wanting to go through that door has to display their access card to the area where the antenna is in the wall. And if they have access to that room that time of day, that day of the week, you'll hear the door unlock and you can walk through it.
And who has access to serology?
All the criminalists do during normal working hours. Any one of them can get into that area. The student worker that works for serology and trace can get into that area during normal working hours. And we have a photographer and some latent print experts that work in our laboratory. They also have access to it during normal working hours. Off watch and on weekends, the serology criminalists are the ones who have access to it. The other criminalists do not, along with management.
So if someone wants to work on evidence on the weekend, who can get into serology to work on evidence?
The criminalists that work that unit.
And what about access by police officers to serology? How does that work?
For a police officer to get into that unit, they would have to be escorted by somebody that has access to it.
Now let's take a look at the instrument lab just quickly. What is this part of the laboratory?
This photograph depicts an area of the instrument laboratory, which is room number 21, located actually on this diagram below serology. The photograph is being taken about where this blue diagram here is, looking towards the right.
Did you do any of your work in this case in the instrument lab?
No, I did not.
And let's take a quick look at the SID Parker Center amplification room. We discussed that briefly. Did you do any of your work in the SID Parker Center amplification room?
No, I did not.
And let's take a quick look at the Parker Center preparation room. And did you do any of your work in this room?
No, I did not.
Thank you. All right. Did the serology laboratory process?
I would have to refer to some notes I made in those statistics.
Is this that same sheet you were referring to earlier, or different?
I'll have to check.
All right, Mr. Blazier, do you want to see that? Sure. Do you need it now, Mr. Blazier, or at the conclusion of the court day? Right. Just remind me to do that.
That paper sheet doesn't have the data as far as that goes.
All right, Mr. Mathis, I want you to mark that with a post-it just so that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, at the moment, I can't locate the page that I had that information on.
You could just give us an approximation.
Overruled.
I would say conservatively, we did between 400 and 500 cases.
And how does that break down just roughly in terms of the type of cases? Are they rape cases or homicide cases?
They're split pretty closely, 50-50. We do a lot of both.
And what percentage of the homicide cases in Los Angeles, well, how many homicide cases in Los Angeles did the crime laboratory criminalists respond to for purposes of crime scene identification?
For
Do you
what
have that
For what
in
time period?
94? Do you have that statistic?
I believe we did in the low 200s was the total number of cases that we responded to.
And what percentage of the total number of homicides do you respond to?
It would be approximately in the area of 10 to 20%.
And who is doing the crime scene investigation on the other 80 to 90%?
The detective.
Now, did you remove some stains or collect some stains from a console that was in the serology laboratory for this case?
Yes, I did.
And perhaps we could see People's 172 for identification. Step down for a second, Mr. Madison.
All right, People's 172, which is a board that we previously described as the Bronco evidence. Mr. Goldberg.
Sir, direct your attention to the photograph that has the call out lines 303, 304, and 305 on it. Do you recognize what's depicted there?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
That is what's been described as a console that was removed from the Bronco.
And did you remove some stains from that?
Yes, I did.
Which stain numbers?
303, 304, and 305.
Does the call out line depict the approximate location that those stains would be oriented on the console?
Yes, it does.
And when you saw the console, where was it?
Overruled.
It was in the serology laboratory at the crime lab
Okay. What date was this when you
On-
removed the stains?
on September 1st, 1994.
Was anyone else?
I'm sorry. Forget this line of question. Change custody. Bring it to the-
All right. Noted. Overruled.
Was anyone else present?
Yes.
Who was that?
I believe that I know that a Mr. Regal was present and Mark Taylor, and there were a number of other people, including members of the defense team that were present. I don't have the list in front of me right now.
And when you removed those items from the console, 303, 304, and 305, how did you do it? Using what technique?
The same technique that was demonstrated by Ms. Mazzola in the videotape and on the board, dampening a small cotton swatch with distilled water, applying it to the stain, allowing it to absorb onto the swatch, and then placing it in a plastic bag for later drying, and following that with a control.
Now, on this particular item, the console, did you see anything, any marks or indication that it had been swatched previously?
There were 2 of the 3 areas that I collected items off of that appeared to have already been sampled.
And which areas were those?
That would be the ones that are marked 303 and 304.
And do those correspond to any photographs that we have on this diagram in front of?
Yes, it does.
Which ones?
That would the area.
We're just seeing early complete lack of trust in computers. She's typing, and it is making, this is the transcript in real time, the whole transcript. But they have to keep changing reporters and paper because she is also typing it out on paper right here. Not needed. Not needed. We don't have that anymore, so that's fine. We have no paper transcripts unless they're printed out from a computer.
That I collected evidence as 303 is roughly the same areas marked in the upper right-hand photograph as item 30, and the area where I collected as 304 is in the same area as what was marked as 31.
What evidence did you see that indicated previously that they had previously been swatched?
Well, you could see where a portion of the blood appeared to have been removed.
In terms of what? I mean, was there no blood there, or was it spread around? What did it look like?
This is overruled. What did it look like?
Just looked like a portion had been removed. There's a lighter area that is consistent with how I've seen stains after I've removed blood from them.
Well, when you remove a stain from an object like this, is it totally gone as if it had been cleaned, or is there something still left afterwards?
Normally, there's a little bit still left.
Okay, so there was a portion that you said was lighter, as if parts of that stain had been removed.
Yes.
And did you remove more portions of the stains in the areas that were in the vicinity of 31 and 30?
Yes, I did.
What did you do with those items after you removed them?
Eventually, they were opened up, allowed to air dry, packaged in bindles and coin envelopes, and booked into our evidence control unit.
Or were they booked in a sealed condition?
Yes.
I wanted to show you.
Guys, it looks like we get to the defense trying to tear him apart on this video. Here we go. We got to get there first. We're like 35 minutes away, maybe.
People's 200 for identification. Sir, when criminals go out to a crime scene, you said that they make a vehicle search, a crime scene identification checklist.
That's correct.
And when they go out to a vehicle search, is there a form that's used for that?
Yes.
And does the form indicate the date and time that they see certain items?
Yes, it's supposed to.
And have you seen a, let me show you People's 200 for identification. Is that a vehicle identification search pertaining to the Bronco?
Yes, it is.
And does it indicate that what date the console was removed from the Bronco?
Yes, it does.
What was that?
August 26, 1994.
Now, after it was removed from the Bronco and brought to SID, do you know where it was stored?
Yes, I do.
Where was it stored?
In the serology unit, we have a large layout table that's in the middle of the room, and most of the items were sitting on that table.
Okay, thank you. You can resume the witness now. Actually, you don't have to move. Well, we'll probably be using that again in about 5 minutes. Sir, directing your attention to the date of October the 30th of 1994, did you take some cuttings from a item of evidence number 81?
I'm referring to a serology case summary sheet blood analysis that indicates that, yes, on October 30th, 94, I did remove some cuttings.
All right, Mr. Blazer, do you have that?
I'm not sure you heard this.
Why don't you show that to him?
Maybe you can just give us the L number if it's on
It's L number 408.
All right, Mr. Blazer, you have that?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
there. Your Honor, I wanted to mark as next in order L number 409 as People's 201.
208. 208. Is this a single page, Mr. Goldberg?
Yes, it is, Your Honor. Sir, did the shirt bear the DR number? The packaging that the shirt was contained in bear the DR number in this case?
Yes, it did.
Can you tell us what the DR number is?
9408-17431.
409 up on the Elmo in a second. You may want to look at it on your notes. So showing you the page that's entitled Serology Item Description Notes, People's 408, 208 in this case. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's a page. It's called Serology Item Description Notes. It is where I made notes in a sketch indicating the areas where I sampled. Item number 81, a shirt.
And on these, how are these serology item description notes used in the ordinary course of the crime lab's business?
Normally, they're used in conjunction with what's called a summary sheet. The summary sheet does that. It just summarizes the information that's found for a particular item. Attached to that would be a serology item description notes, which allows a more complete description of the item that you're working with.
And in this particular case, what does your sketch indicate?
Well, it shows a very rough rendition of a shirt with the letterings A through H, indicating areas where I made small cuttings of sample removal.
Hi,
And a
guys.
circled area marked control where I removed a control sample.
And after you removed those items, cut those items, what did you do with them?
I placed them into individual bindles and then into a small manila coin envelope, placing them in the
Hi,
serology
Karen.
freezer.
Now, were those sealed?
No, I don't believe so.
Now, did you also review the documents in this case including the serology item description notes, to determine when various items were mailed out and transmitted to outside laboratories?
Yes, I have.
All right. I'd like to direct your attention to the series of charts that we've labeled as People's 177 for identification. Mr. Matheson, showing you People's 177, the board that contains items 6 through 24. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And did you have the opportunity to review this exhibit prior to your testimony today?
Yes.
Did you have the opportunity to check it against various items of various reports that are maintained in the ordinary course of the crime lab's business?
Yes, I did.
Now, you already mentioned the serology item description notes. Did you review serology item description notes in conjunction? Well, let me ask you this. What documents did you look at specifically in checking these boards?
I looked at a large quantity of documents, both what we described as serology item description notes, also some cover letters, transmittal letters, and analyzed evidence reports indicating where things have gone and when. Documents of that type that are all prepared during the course of these samples being prepared and submitted to outside agencies.
Well, generally speaking, when you're going to send a sample to an outside agency, can you describe what kind of documentation you go through in doing that?
But when we need to send a evidence item out to another agency or a company to do work that we don't do ourselves, what is first done is a request to evaluate. We do it in the area of DNA analysis. A request to evaluate DNA evaluation on that item. And that is a form in and of itself. It gives the item numbers, describes the condition of the item, whether or not the person that's doing the evaluation thinks that there's sufficient evidence to send out or not. Ultimately, then where it goes, which laboratory, the date that it went, how much is remaining of that item within our laboratory. There's also associated with that these item description notes I previously described to give a more definitive explanation of what the evidence actually looked like, rather than kind of a brief just red stain or something on that line. Also prepared along with that is what's called an analyzed evidence report that just describes that these items were sent to such and such a laboratory on a certain date, which then is part of our permanent file, just like an analyzed evidence report, as if we'd done the work, letting the detective, the DA's office know, or whoever, that something had gone out for analysis on this date to this laboratory. And there is also then a cover letter that is prepared to the laboratory that's being sent to, which describes the items that are being sent to them, giving them a very limited information about what the case is involved and who to contact in case they have any questions.
Do you also use something called serology case summary sheets for this?
The serology case summary sheets tend to be more towards analysis of the items. However, occasionally we will grab a form just to have something to write on as far as it has lines.
And are all these standard forms that are used in the crime lab's business?
Yes.
And will the analyst then use these documents such as the serology item description notes?
I'm going to check. Lack of foundation, nothing for Vegas decline left.
Sustained. Further question.
Are all of these documents ones that are used in the ordinary course of shipping items out when the crime lab does that?
Yes, they are.
Now, with respect to the usage, for example, of the serology item description notes, if the analyst is preparing the items to go out and packaging them, when does he fill out that document in relationship to preparation and packaging of the items?
That is the document that's prepared while the evidence is actually sitting in front of them.
Now, does this exhibit, People's 177, essentially compile, or does it compile information from all of these various documents and just summarize them in one place?
Yes, it does.
And how voluminous were the documents that are represented here that are compiled in 177?
Well, this, along with a couple other charts, filled about a 2-inch binder.
Okay. Now, directing your attention to item number 6, just to start with an example. We don't have to go through each and every one of these. When you were verifying the information in item number 6, what did you look at?
The piece of information there of interest for myself is regarding the trip to DOJ. I'll start at the beginning. As far as the property report goes, these items were in fact collected on June 13th, and that was confirmed by a property report.
Okay, so the information in the left-hand column generally comes from a property report.
Yes, because that's the document we use when things are collected.
And did you take a look at the photograph in cell number 6 under collected LAPD to see whether you recognized the writing and the DR number?
Yes, I did.
And to verify that that was one of the items in this case.
Yes.
Now, what does cell mark mean?
Cellmark is the name of a company. It's located on the East Coast that we use for our RFLP type DNA analysis.
Is that someone that you've used in a number of past cases?
Yes.
And what does DOJ mean?
DOJ stands for Department of Justice. In this particular case, it's the California Department of Justice Bureau of Forensic Sciences Lab in Berkeley, California.
So that's part of the state of California.
Yes.
And did you verify that according to the records, an envelope containing swatches from number 6 was sent on the 12th of August?
Yes, I did.
Did you also look at the photograph?
Yes.
What did you look at the photograph for?
I wanted to confirm that one of those 8 coin envelopes that are depicted there was in fact the coin envelope that was used to transport item number 6.
And did it have the item number and the DR number?
Yes.
And is that typically how you would do it if you were sending less than the entire number of swatches? Would you put it in a different coin envelope to send it out?
Normally the process when the samples are being prepared to be sent to an outside laboratory, if we don't send all of the evidence, a portion or a cutting of it is taken from the original bindle and envelope, and a new bindle and envelope is prepared, which is then sent back to somewhere.
And that would be sent in a sealed condition.
That's correct.
Now, there's a little icon under 12/8/12/94, and the legend says swatch with an ES, swatches. What does that icon represent?
That's to indicate in the case of item number 6, all that was sent was one of the stained swatches, no control.
And did you verify the correctness of that icon?
Yes.
So on this particular date, swatches containing presumably blood were sent, but a control was not sent.
That's correct.
And FBI, what is that?
FBI stands for the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Now, in terms of this verification procedure that you testified to, did you look at the other items on this board and go through the same verification procedure, checking the documents and also the packages?
Yes, I did.
And was the information on this board correct?
Yes.
Now, with respect to item number 17, it says it's what appears to be a reference file. Can you take a closer look at that for a second?
That's correct.
Was that the reference file that you did some testing on?
Yes, it is.
And did you check the records to determine whether, according to the records, another item of evidence entitled O.J. Simpson blood exemplar was created from that?
Yes, I did.
Sustained.
Well-
Without foundation, jury to disregard.
Did you have to check did you check a record to verify what says O.J. Simpson blood exemplar?
Yes, I did.
What did you look at?
Some notes that was prepared by Mr. Yamauchi during the course of sampling the exemplars. It's our habit to try and get portions of the liquid blood when we receive it onto what are called swatch cards, so it can then dry out and be frozen rather than it's just stored refrigerated in the blood vial.
And does the analyst generate one of these records that you've described contemporaneously with doing that?
Yes.
And did you check that record to verify this entry?
Yes, I did.
Now, the little card that's represented there, the white thing, what's that?
Well, that's the exterior of their commercial swatching cards that we have. If you open that up, there's 4 black circles approximately an inch in diameter. Portions of the blood are pipetted or delivered to each of those 4 spots and allowed to dry.
Okay, now, with respect to item number 13, for example, did you take a look at the picture of the exterior packaging to see whether the item number and the DR number was represented?
Yes, I did.
And did you also check the record to see that that was sent out on September 26, 94?
Yes.
So with respect to item 23, for example, that would have been sent out on September 14th of 94.
That's correct.
But with respect to that item, did you verify that both swatches and a control was sent?
For the records, yes.
Okay, thank you. Let's see that the next one.
To another board, we briefly approach while they're finding it.
Okay, so he's coming up, but I clearly see Feldman, Feld something, arguing later. Look. I'll show you what I mean while they're doing their thing. So he's the one that objected. So it looks like he's in charge of this portion from the Dream Team. I don't know his name yet. And there he is, okay? But then there is Shaq. Not the other guy, Shaq. Oh, it's a different person. So somewhere between here and here, this witness is done. I don't know how annoying this guy's going to be yet, and I have no idea. Oh, this guy's the tech guy. He's the one that puts the videos on and puts the photos up and everything like that. I wonder why he was there. And that was Mrs. Robinson. Cuckoo. Collaboration. Richard, you say the same things every day.
All right, juror number one, is that too extreme for you to see? Well, we're sort of defeating our purpose here. Let's put it back at a straight 90 degree, and we'll proceed at that point. We may have to move some of those exhibits from out back there so we get a little more depth here. All right, Mr. Goldberg.
I only have about 2 minutes of questions on this one, so they might want to stay. Now direct your attention to the board that has 25 through 44 on it. Did you go through the same verification procedure on this board that you previously discussed?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and was the information contained on that board true and correct?
Yes, it was.
I see Mr. Fairtlow is just.
All right, Mr. Goldberg, are you ready to proceed to the next chart?
Yes.
All right. All right, rather than move all of those, let's right now. We'll do that later. Let's move on to the next chart.
This is the one that has items 45 through 57. Mr. Matheson, on this particular chart, did you notice something in reviewing it that you wanted changed?
Yes,
Now, do we have the exact number?
Well, these are all 177.
177, this is items, we have it marked by items, item numbers.
We may have put a letter, it may be C.
All right.
But it has 45 through 57.
Noted, thank you. Proceed.
Thank you.
yes, I did.
And which was that?
And that was in the case of item number 51, under 2 DOJ 92694, the icons for swatch and control had been omitted.
We have some icons here, maybe with the court's permission, we could just put them on. That's the 92694.
That's correct.
And which item was this?
Item number 51.
51, all right.
So state and control icon.
That's correct.
While he's doing that, maybe I. Just wait. Other than that, Mr. Matheson, did this board correctly state the information that was contained in the business records that you previously described?
Yes, it did.
All right, thanks. Let's go on to D.
And Mr. Goldberg, these are which items?
177, I believe this should be D. And this is item 59 through 82. Now, with respect to item number 59, Mr. Matheson, did you also take a look at some documents, as you previously testified when we were asking about item 17, in order to verify the creation of the FITSCO card under Nicole Simpson blood exemplar? If you understood that question.
Yes, I did.
All right. Did you do that?
Yes.
And when did it indicate that the swatches were made from item number 59?
On June 5th.
Objection, no foundation.
Sustained.
What documents did you look at?
It was the same document mentioned before, prepared by Mr. Yamauchi, describing the swatching of the items.
And that's prepared in the same way that you previously testified when I was asking you about 17?
That's correct.
And when did that document indicate that the swatches were prepared from 59?
Objection, improper foundation.
Sustained.
Well, is this done in the ordinary course of business?
Yes.
And is the document that you looked at prepared contemporaneously with the swatching?
Yes.
Is this a standard form that's used in the lab?
We don't have a standard form to just to describe the production of these swatches. He used one of the ones I mentioned earlier as a note page.
Okay, but are those items that you use, the analysts use to describe what they're doing and when they're creating a particular piece of evidence?
Yes.
And when did that indicate that the Nicole Simpson blood exemplar was created?
Objection, foundation.
Sustained.
May we approach?
No, proceed.
Because the council hasn't specified what element of foundation he's saying is missing.
Doesn't have to. It's missing. Proceed.
You looked at a document, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that document was prepared by who?
Mr. Yamauchi.
And this is a document that's prepared at or near the time that the swatch is created.
Objection, no foundation.
Overruled.
That's correct.
And this is a document that is used by serologists when they are preparing swatches.
Yes.
And did you check that document against the item that's referenced as the Nicole Simpson blood exemplar?
Yes, I did.
And did it reflect, does this accurately reflect the information on that document?
Objection, no foundation, call for hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, it does.
All right. And when did it indicate that that swatch was created?
Objection, no foundation.
Sustained. We're missing item D, counsel.
What?
We're missing item D.
Well, is this done in a manner that's trustworthy?
Objection.
Sustained. Calls for a conclusion. He has to describe the manner in which it's prepared.
I think you just did that.
That indicates its trustworthiness.
Mr. Matheson, when does the analyst actually write down the information?
Objection, irrelevant.
Overruled.
As they're performing the work, they are preparing note pages describing the actions that were taken.
And what does he describe? What do they describe?
Objection, calls for hearsay.
Overruled.
That swatches were prepared of particular item on a particular date.
Okay, and when was that item prepared according to this document?
Objection.
Overruled at this point.
June 15th, 1994.
Okay, now did you go through the same process with respect to the Ronald Goldman blood exemplar?
Yes, I did.
And is the information contained there accurate?
Objection, no foundation.
Sustain.
You want to go through this all over again?
There's an objection, counsel. It's your burden. Proceed.
Okay.
What
When-
document?
What type of document did you look at in order to verify the information under Ronald Goldman blood exemplar?
I believe it was a item description note.
Was that the same type that you just testified to when you were talking about 59?
I believe it was the exact same document.
And what did that document indicate in terms of when the swatch entitled Ronald Goldman blood exemplar was created?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
And it was prepared on June 15th, 1994.
Okay, and did the swatch come from the vial number 60?
Objection, no foundation.
Josh, listen, I think if we're really nice to Terry today, really, really nice to Terry today, she will give us some no-bake cookies. I betcha. Great, Terry. Terry, that shirt looks so good on you, girl.
Sustain.
According to the document.
Objection, statement, hearsay.
Overruled. Overruled.
According to the document, the swatch was made from the whole blood vial.
And is that the same answer that you give with respect to the Nicole Simpson blood exemplar?
Yes.
Does this board accurately indicate when items from the swatches were mailed out and to whom?
Yes, it does.
Now, with respect to item number 81, did you look at the photograph in the cell under collected LAPD to determine whether you could recognize the packaging?
Yes, I did.
And is that the shirt from which you took certain cuttings that you testified to earlier this afternoon?
Yes, that's correct.
Josh, love, you should not trust me. If they get in front of me before you, you don't get none.
Where are those indicated on this board?
The cuttings that I made are indicated in the next cell down opposite 81A through H cuttings.
And where it says October 30th, 94, Greg Matheson.
That's correct.
So that's when you took cuttings from item 81.
Yes.
And does the cell under DOJ that says 11395 indicate when that was mailed out?
Yes, it does.
Now, with respect to item number 82, what is that?
When samples are collected from the coroner's office, they prepare both a liquid sample and a swatch of blood. That is the outside packaging or the envelope that contains the swatch that was prepared at the coroner's office, marked as Nicole Brown's reference.
So that is not done. That particular swatch is not done by SID. It's done by the coroner's people.
That's correct.
And does the cell under DOJ under 9794 indicate when that was sent out?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let's take a look at the next board. This is the final. On this board, did you also find something that you wanted to change?
Yes, I did.
What was that?
That in this cell next to where it says 293 fibers in control, it has a date of 8/26/94, and then Matheson as to when that was collected. The actual date on that was 9/1/94.
And was this an item that also came from some object in the Bronco?
That was collected from the Bronco. That's correct. The item was not in the Bronco when I did my collection.
What was it that you took it from?
I believe that was from a section of the floorboard or floor carpeting.
Okay. That had been collected by someone else.
The carpeting had, that's correct.
Right. And what did you do? What technique did you use to collect 293?
Just cut portions of the fibers away from the carpeting, placing them in a bindle, closing the bindle up, and then making a control cutting, and placing that in another bindle and putting it in a coin envelope.
So this was not the cloth swatch technique.
That's correct.
And the control was a cloth swatch or just another piece of carpet?
It would be more cuttings of fibers.
So where did you cut from in order to get the control?
Near to the stain, but in an area that did not appear to be stained.
All right. Now, with respect to item number 84 and 85, let's start from 80 with 84. Do you recognize what's depicted in that item?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
Item number 84 is a LA County Coroner's envelope used to store collected fingernail scrapings or fingernail clippings and or scrapings.
Did you do some testing on 84?
Yes, I did.
So this was something that was not collected by SID people?
That's correct.
And with respect to the other items on this chart, and this chart it contains 84 through 305 for the record, did you verify the correctness of the information contained on this chart?
Yes, I did.
And perhaps with the court's permission later on, we could change the 826 date to 9/1.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to mark another exhibit that's entitled Additional LAPD Disposition, Evidence Disposition Board, S209.
Hold on. Yes, please. Hey, what, ladies and gentlemen, I need to, why don't you turn that around, Mr. Fritlow? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to need to talk to counsel about this next exhibit. Probably take us more than 5 or 10 minutes, so I'm going to call it quits as far as you're concerned for the day. I have a few other matters I need to talk to the lawyers about. Please remember all of my admonitions to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Don't form any opinions about the case. Don't conduct any deliberations until the matter has been submitted to you. And I do not allow anybody to communicate with you with regard to the case.
What does that say? I can't read it because he keeps blocking it. So okay, we can assume 95 is 1995. Okay, so we got, you don't have to worry about this part right here. You got to worry about this part. They're in California. That does not say California. I mean, that could be a C and an N. That could be an N. All right, let's try to see if we can figure it out.
And we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. All right, as far as the
No,
jury
we
is concerned,
can't.
we'll stand in recess. And Mr. Matheson, you may step down. Your order.
We'll never know. Oh no, he's teasing me. He put it right up to the screen and I couldn't read it. Did we say this was her daughter? Never mind. Oh, it's empty over here too. What's going on?
And Mr. Goldberg, how many of these do we have? This is it.
Yeah, these are what I call the round trip items.
Oh, we're on May 1st. You know what that means? Everybody got searched on the way in. Because of that cell phone from yesterday. From now on, everybody has to. No, not today. It starts tomorrow. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. It starts tomorrow. Good morning.
The round trip.
They're items that came back and then went out again. So they had to be put on a separate board.
All right, are there any other items similar to
Who's
this
that?
we need to talk about?
Do we know him?
You mean boards? No.
What is one on the board?
I didn't know counsel had any objection to this because I think we've had it down here for a while, and I would have liked. I thought we had an agreement that we were supposed to know.
But this
so we
raises
could make
that
modifications.
issue that we would
I
like to
understand
discuss.
what the issue is, but I just still wish that we sometimes come armed with patches if we think that there's a problem.
Which is why at this point, the point of my question to you, Mr. Goldberg, are there any other exhibits that you have not previously shown to the court and defense counsel that you intend on using tomorrow?
I don't think so, because I think I've shown all of them.
That looked like it said 95.1. Did you see that? It wasn't 1995. My cameraman.
I'm going to also use the analyze.
Does say 95.1.
71 that was used in Mr. Cochran's opening statement. It's on laser and has certain pullouts on it. It's very similar to what he used in his opening statement. And
All right, Mr. Blazer, you're familiar with that document.
I don't know that I've seen that. Has it been used before?
Mr.
no,
Blazer.
except in the opening statement.
I would just like a chance to look at that tomorrow.
And then I also have,
Well, Mr. Fairlow, do you have the ability to pull that up right now?
this one. And then I also have an electrophoresis worksheet that they have.
I don't know
It's
what you're
also on
saying,
laser and
Jude.
has
I don't
a pullout.
understand.
All right, let's see them both.
1051 a time. His mug doesn't say
If
that,
you
does it?
recall from my
1051 a
revised,
time?
Council conduct order, this is what we're going to do every day at 4:30. Look at new exhibits for the next day.
No, it's my understanding that order doesn't apply to impeachment materials.
That's correct.
Okay.
Any affirmative stuff that you intend on presenting, I want to see it at 4:30 the day before, so we don't have to stop and start. Affirmative evidence, as opposed to impeachment evidence.
Well,
This is the-
I need to clarify that in a minute.
Well, let's start with what the prosecution has.
There are three sections to it. This is section A.
All right,
This is section B.
all right.
This is section C.
His mug says 95.1.
Okay.
I just don't know what the words
And
say.
Mr. Blazer, you now recollect having seen these reports?
Oh, yes, I have no objection to this.
All right.
I hadn't seen it in the laser form.
Next item.
All right, guys. I'll be back in a few minutes. Behave. Okay?
That's not on laser.
Behave.
All right, what is that for the record?
That's electrophoresis worksheet, and it has a B and a question mark under item 84A and
All right, is there an
84B.
L number on that?
It's L388. Then I have L383. I've shown all these exhibits this morning, so there
Right,
is nothing here.
And Mr. Blazer, there are no objections to those other items?
No.
All right. All right, let's talk about evidence, additional LAPD evidence disposition summary chart equals 209. I take it, Mr. Blazer, your objection is to column 2.
Correct.
What case law are you aware of that precludes the prosecution from, in their presentation regarding the integrity of the evidence, to not put this on? What precludes them from doing that?
Well, I think we briefed this before in the motion on the stipulation. I don't have that at hand, but presumably
I'm just asking, do you have any other additional?
nothing additional, no.
All right.
I mean, I'm assuming that what it's being offered for is to just establish where the items were during a certain period of time. And you don't need to go into what happened to the items, speculate about what might have happened to the items, about who had them. We're willing to stipulate to that. We're not challenging it. I know we can't make them stipulate to it, but we are not challenging it. And it seems inappropriate that they should be able to go far beyond what limited probative value this information has.
Well, if the chain of custody were stipulated to, which would be the normal way that things are done in the case.
Well,
such as
Mr.
this.
Goldberg,
We
there's
will.
nothing normal here.
I know that, but even if it was partially stipulated. to,
We will. We'll stipulate it to it
but-
for any time.
Hold on.
Well, if they're going to stipulate that there's that the only portion of the chain of custody that they're contesting is between the scene and the evidence processing room, which they've already contested through Mr. Fung, and then that's it, then a lot of this becomes irrelevant. But that's apparently not what they're doing. They're I think, contesting almost every portion of the scene, even after the things were in the laboratory, between the time things were at the laboratory and mailed out. They wouldn't even stipulate to laying the foundation on these boards.
All right. My inclination, though, is to say that the prosecution is entitled to show that for a period of time, these items, as designated here, were in the possession of representatives of the defense, and that's the end of it.
That's not,
And
we're
that's
not
some
gonna
of
say
it. And I don't recollect particularly how much was used of any particular swatch.
But the problem with that is that opens the whole area up as to what we did with them, and we'll have to go into the fact that we weren't allowed to do anything to them, that we weren't allowed to perform any testing, that it was just an examination. And it seems to me that we're going to get off on a real long trail here that has very little impact on what limited probative value this information has when we're not contesting it.
So how do you propose to do this?
Yes, Your Honor, if the information is going to come in that we had these items, then it needs to also come in that we were not allowed to do anything to them other than examine them. That we were not allowed to take samples for testing. We were not permitted to do anything other than physically look at them.
All right, Mr. Goldberg, do you have anything else to add that is beyond the points and authorities submitted regarding the proposed stipulation?
No, but I did want to clarify one thing for the record. The courts said that you were inclined to allow this as long as we had any evidence as to what happened. And generally speaking, I think that that's exactly what I intended to do with every single item, with the possible exception of item number 6, because item number 6, when it went out to Albany, did not have any hair in the bindle. But when it came back, it was photographed and it does. So however it happened and whoever was responsible, that bindle became accidentally contaminated, which is kind of interesting because it was still tested and I believe still came out as clean. It doesn't have any biological evidence on it. Obviously, no one would intentionally contaminate a piece of evidence, but it is sort of interesting. It would probably be very interesting to these jurors that it did become contaminated, as the defense has used that word, and still there was absolutely no impact on the evidence that was tested. So I think that it is relevant to bring that out.
All right.
I'm sorry. That's not accurate. That hair was there when we got it, and we have fully documented that.
All right, well, we'll see. I'm sure it'll come out in front of the jury in some form. All right, I want counsel here, Mr. Goldberg, Mr. Blazer. I want you gentlemen here at 8:30, and we'll continue the discussion. As I mentioned to you, I'm not comfortable with the state of my research on this particular issue, so I want to have a little more time to look into this. I think we're done with the argument at this point.
I just wanted to point something else about the chart. It's not a further argument. I just did want to point out that in all these items, the only reason why we're putting these items that went to the defense, even though there were many more, is because they went to the defense between the time that we received them back and the time that we mailed them out of here. I also wanted for the record to say that we would like to use some photographs of the socks, which have not been previously marked, which counsel has. And I am going to use this EAP phenotype block diagram, which they've seen probably about a month ago now, but they may have forgotten that they saw it, so I wanted to put that on the record.
All right.
I don't have any problem with it.
All right, counsel, what we're going to do is find some other way to store all of these because we need a little more working room there. Also, counsel have been inviting their witnesses to take the witness stand prior to the court coming out. It's for the court to invite witnesses to take the witness stand. All right.
Sorry,
Oh,
the courts have different practices.
Yeah.
Just time out.
That's why we're here at 4:30.
There is just, at this point in time, we still have not had any introduction of the actual results of the either conventional serological or DNA tests.
I suppose
the-
that's tomorrow.
I know that. So what I just wanted to bring to the court's attention right now to consider is as an additional ground for, at this point, precluding that kind of testimony tomorrow morning from Mr. Matheson, is that it's not just simply a question of foundation testimony from the nurse. The blood itself hasn't been introduced into evidence. And frankly, I've looked at the California law, and I don't know of any cases, for instance, which say that it's okay to have a laboratory technician testify that a certain substance contained cocaine or heroin without first introducing the drugs that have been seized. And I have no case law in California that sustains the introduction of test results without the blood coming into evidence. And we would oppose, on an additional ground, the introduction of any results until the blood itself is introduced.
All right, noted. Thank you. All right, see you gentlemen tomorrow morning. Mr. Blazer, one more thing.
One more thing. Yes, I
Well,
don't
you
want to.
yielded the floor to Mr. Neufeld, so
Well-
I assumed that you were done for the day.
No, I don't want to run afoul of the court's order. I have some slides that I prepared to illustrate points I intend to make with Mr. Matheson on cross-examination. That was my understanding because that was impeachment material that I don't need to provide that to them now. But I want to make sure that I'm clear on that.
Now,
They have a very loose definition of impeachment material. I know we've gone over this over and over again.
Not any new original evidence or anything like that. But just
no, what I would require you to do, however, prior to the session that you're going to use it, advise the court and counsel that you've got it, just in case there are any objections to it, without discussing it with the witness that's involved.
That's fine. I'll do it after he's done with his direct.
Also, on any of these items, as the court knows, we have very voluminous photographs and so on. I don't bring everything, but everything's carved out every day. That's only a very small fraction of it.
Also, you're going to have the notebooks piled up there on the second tier below, because sometimes it obscures views and things of people. So keep it below.
I try to do that.
Keep it below the level of the rail.
I may have put that note prepared just a few moments ago. I'm not sure.
Okay. But I'm sure some of your minions upstairs, if they hear that we're using those other photos, will rush them down here.
Yeah, but it's just it would be some delay, 10, 15 minutes or whatever, depending on how crowded the elevators were at that time.
Well, be prepared. All right. Anything else? I will stand in recess 8:30 tomorrow morning, council. Thank you. We're missing our court reporter for starters. Ready? All right, back on the record in the Simpson matter. All parties are again present. Mr. Simpson is present with his counsel, Mr. Shapiro, Mr. Cochran, Mr. Scheck, Mr. Blazier, people represented by Mr. Darden, Mr. Goldberg, Mr. Clark. The jury is not present. The record should reflect that this morning the court had a conference with counsel in chambers concerning certain demonstrative evidence items prepared by the prosecution. The first was the LAPD additional evidence disposition, which has been previously marked as People's 209. Court will allow the use without commentary regarding what was done with the items represented, which are the substate controls, while they were in the possession of the defense and made available at that time for their examination. There is a second board that is entitled Defense Testing, and I'm sustaining the defense objection to the title of that board. And for simplicity purposes, Mr. Goldberg, I would suggest at this point that we mark that as People's 210. Is that agreeable to the people?
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to direct Mr. Fairlow to cover the title of the board as defense testing, since at this point it's not appropriate to comment on whether or not any testing has been accomplished or done by the defense.
Yeah, is the court going to have a stipulation prepared, or will we be able to ask Mr. Matheson whether these items were turned over in October of last year?
You'll be able to ask him if those items were turned over and that they were returned at some point in time, and that's it.
I believe you used the word examination when in chambers. We used the word inspection.
Inspection.
Thank you.
All right. And Mr. Matheson is here, and Mr. Goldberg, you can consult with him on that. All right. As to a third board that was shown to the court, which has various depictions of item 13, the socks, court will sustain the defense objection at this time to the board itself. However, the photograph of the single sock, the objection is overruled. All right. Anything else we need to put on the record before we invite the jurors to rejoin us? Mr. Goldberg?
No.
All right. Let's have the jury. Let the record reflect that we've been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Mr. Gregory Matheson, would you resume the witness stand, please? Mr. Matheson is again on the witness stand, undergoing direct examination by Mr. Goldberg. Good morning, Mr. Matheson.
Morning.
Mr. Matheson, you were reminded, sir, you are still under oath. Mr. Goldberg, you may continue with your direct examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Matheson. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Matheson, when we left off yesterday, we were talking about the creation of FITSCO cards from the reference files. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
Right. I wanted to show you what we previously marked as 163L for identification. See if you can tell us what this type of item is.
This is an example of a type of blood squatch card that we purchase. It has an outer envelope for protection inside, contains an area where you could record some information about the items, and then 4 circles that are in a filter type paper, approximately 1 inch in diameter, where you put the blood.
Can you hold that up so the jurors can see what you're talking about?
4092, in case you can't see that. If you want to pass that to the jury.
Sure. I also passed the envelope.
Yes.
To mark another exhibit while the jurors are.
Yes.
I'd like to mark as People's 211 for identification. As 211A, what appears to be a photograph of item number 60.
I'm sorry, that was item number 16?
60.
60.
As 211B, what appears to be item number 59.
All right, 211B.
211C, what appears to be item number 17. The FITSCO cards. I placed the numbers on the reverse of the photographs.
All right. All right, Deputy Russell, would you turn that to Mr. Goldberg? All right, thank you, counsel. Proceed.
Mr. Matheson, I'd now like to show you the photographs that have been marked as People's 211A through C for identification. Is the resolution high enough for you to see those on your screen?
I could see the items and what's displayed there. The writing is difficult to discern.
Did you take a look at these photographs prior to coming into court today, last night?
Yes, I did.
Right. And with respect to these 3 items, what are they, first of all?
All 3 items are cards similar to the type that was just displayed in the courtroom here that are used to preserve liquid blood samples. Portions of a liquid sample is applied to the 4 different squares of the card. The best way to preserve a sample is dried and frozen, so that way we have portions of the blood rather than just keeping it in a vial in the best possible form.
Do you do your testing or some of your testing from these cards as opposed to the blood vials themselves?
As far as the conventional typing goes, it's all done directly from the blood vial. These we started using in our laboratory with the advent of DNA typing.
All right. Now, in many of the photographs that we've seen of the packaging materials, in this case, there are these cards at the bottom. What are those? The ones that have the DR number and the date.
Those cards are placed in there by the photographer. They have the DR number, date, and what's called a C number, which references back to the order number for the photography.
Is that something that's standard when your SID photographer is taking photographs such as these?
Well, it's standard for something like that to show up in at least one frame of a roll of film or a sequence of photographs regarding the evidence.
Okay. And with respect to the photograph that's 211A, on the bindle, there are some initials, if you can see them, that are CY. Can you see that?
No, I can't make it out on the picture.
Okay. Who's that?
The CY are the initials of Colin Yamauchi, a criminalist that works in the serology unit.
And what is the C2?
C2 refers to a designation that we gave the initial exemplars that were involved in this case. It was decided that due to confidentiality, we would give a arbitrary indication, C1, C2, and C3, to the exemplar, portions of the exemplars that were submitted to Cellmark Diagnostics for analysis.
Is that something that's standard or was just done in this case?
It was done in this case. We haven't done that before.
And C2 then was Nicole Brown.
Yes, it was.
Who was C1?
C1 was Mr. Simpson.
And C.
Noted.
And C3?
C3 was Mr. Goldman's sample.
Okay. Thank you. Now, I was also going through the board that we marked as People's 177, the evidence disposition. Can I see the board that has number 78, item number 78 on it? Is my next exhibit. That's 212, a document that says serology item description notes.
All right, well, Mr. Blake, do you have a copy of that? Need the easel over here.
I'm going to place a 212 on the reverse of the document. So directing your attention to People's 177, and this is the exhibit that has 59 through 82 on it. Looking at item number 78, the packaging, did you do some testing yourself on that item?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you take some swatches from that item?
Yes.
What was that? What is the item?
Well, the item number 78, are a pair of white shoes with red stains on them.
Okay. Now, in reviewing the records in order to verify this board, did you see a record that pertained to the entry 78 swatch and the date 7/20/94 with Mr. Yamauchi's name?
Yes, I did. The name appears on the board here. I recognize the document as one prepared by him.
Okay, can we see that next document as People's 212? That's all right. I'll just, to save time, show you People's 212 for identification. Can you tell us what that is?
This is a serology item description note page filled out by Mr. Yamauchi, indicating the swatching or sampling of some stains under the what appears to be the left shoe from item number 78.
And you previously described this type of document. Is this type of document actually generated at the time that the actual analysis or swatching is being performed?
Yes, it is.
And you have sketches on these very often, is that correct?
Yes.
And does the analyst sketch out or try to sketch out where the swatch or cutting came from when they're taking a swatch or cutting?
Yes, normally.
Did Mr. Yamauchi do that here?
Yes.
Sustained.
Is there a sketch on this particular document indicating where the swatches came from?
Yes, there is.
And I wanted to ask you another question about the items that were recovered by you from the carpet from the Bronco. That was People's 172. We can see that board again. It's People's 172. Sir, directing your attention back to People's 172 for identification and the photograph in the middle on the bottom that has the number 293 in it. Do you recognize what's depicted there?
Yes, I do.
Do you know who is pointing to that item with the red pen?
I believe that's my hand.
And when you collected this item 293, did you collect it from the carpet that's depicted in that photograph?
Yes, I did.
And you previously discussed how you did that. You used the method of just cutting rather than cloth swatch.
That's correct.
Now, what item number is the carpet itself?
I believe it's item number 33.
And that was recovered by Mr. Fung, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, in terms of the swatching that was done on the console of the Bronco, that you said that you could see prior to when you did your swatching, do you feel that more sample should have been taken from those areas, 30 and 31?
Yes, I feel the problem.
Sustained. Rephrase the
Well,
question.
when they were initially swatched.
Yes, I did. Upon seeing the blood that was present, I believe that probably more should have been taken originally.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, there was stains present on the console, and that's a hard surface. It's a non-porous surface. The blood is just sitting right on top. It's fairly easy to remove, but it also can be fairly thin. I would have, probably the best thing to have done would have been to have removed more of the sample originally on the first search.
When you removed more sample from those locations, was all of it gone by the time you were finished?
No, it was not.
How much was left?
Oh, I don't remember.
But there was some left.
There was visible staining left, yes.
If you're removing staining that covers a fairly large area on a wall, for example, how do you decide how much of that stain to remove if it's a smear that covers maybe a square foot?
Well, given the different types that are available to us now, I would, in a situation like that, would probably want to collect 4 or 5 swatches, average maybe quarter-inch square swatches, something like that. Maybe a little more. It depends on whether there's other evidence available.
But would you necessarily cover the whole square foot?
No, I probably would not take it all.
All right, thank you. I'd like to mark as people's next in order the additional LAPD evidence disposition board. That's 213. Maybe Mr. Fairtlow can put that up for us while he's there. Oh, sorry, I think we previously marked this before we started as 209.
209.
Sir, direct your attention to what's been previously marked as People's 209 for identification. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And have you had the opportunity to look at this document to verify it against the records that are maintained by the Scientific Investigations Division?
Yes, I did.
Did you go through the same type of verification process that you described yesterday afternoon when I was asking you about the other evidence disposition boards?
That's correct.
Now, with respect to item number 6, was a control swatch of item number 6 sent somewhere on February 17th?
Yes, it was.
And what records did you have to look at in order to verify that?
Well, there were a number of notes that were made by the individuals that prepared and sent those samples. It ended up being many pages worth of notes.
Were those notes that were prepared at the time that the samples were actually being packaged for transmittal or shipping?
Yes, they were.
Now, in addition to the documentation procedures that you described just now and yesterday, was there any photo documentation that occurred?
Yes.
What was that?
Well, prior to the items that were shipped out or delivered out, that during those dates in February, all of the items were described and photographed prior to their release.
And does the photograph that's in the cell under item number for number 6 depict the photo documentation that was done?
Yes, it does.
That's just- Now, in the bindle that's in item number 6, was there anything other than the control?
No, there's not.
And sir, where did these items that were sent out on the 17th go to?
To a laboratory in Albany, New York.
Do you know who brought them there?
They actually went out in a couple of different shipments. I believe DA investigators transported them.
And when did these various items that went out on the 17th come back?
Well, they came back also in a couple of different shipments, but in and around February 22nd.
Now, with respect to item number 6, when it came back, or after it came back, was it photo documented again?
Yes, it was.
Can you give us the date that it was photo documented?
You have to refer to the
Yeah.
photograph. The date reflects February 27th, 1995.
Now, on the date that it was photo documented, were you notified by someone to come and look at that bindle?
Yes, I was.
And what did you do?
Well, I was asked to come back to the serology unit to take a look at the contents of that bindle.
What did you see?
A portion of the control plus a hair.
And is that depicted in the photo documentation that was done on the 27th?
Yes.
Perhaps we could, with the court's permission, just move this board down so that the jurors can see it.
Yes.
So, Mr. Matheson, as to item number 6, was there a hair that was not there in the bindle when it was sent to the defense on February 17th, found in the bindle when it was photo documented on February the 27th?
That's correct.
And what happened to item number 6, the control, after the 27th of February?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson, to your knowledge, was the purpose of the items that went out on February the 17th to allow the defense to inspect those items?
That was my understanding, yes.
Now, after the 27th, as to item number 6, what happened to that item?
It was sent to the Department of Justice.
And on the column that says back to SID, what does that mean?
Well, that references when items are returned back to our facility.
And certain items on the say return to evidence control unit on 22295, item 656 and 305, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And who did that?
The actual return of those items,
To the evidence control unit.
I believe I did. I'd have to reference my notes to be sure.
Okay. And that, maybe you can double check your notes.
I see I didn't miss much. I got home a while ago, but I could not get inside the house because there was a big black fly out there. Just a fly. It was this big. It was pitch black, like no color, no shininess, nothing. Just a big, huge black mat fly. So I decided to Google it. Like, hey, is this thing gonna eat me? It was huge. And yeah, that's what they do. They bite. They bite and suck blood. That's how they live. So I couldn't get out of my car. Luckily, somebody walked their dog behind me. So the fly had moved, and I didn't know where it was exactly. So I was stuck in the car because I didn't know where it was. So I'm facing the house in the car, trying to wonder if I can make it to the front door. And then finally, behind me, someone's walking this big, it's a great big poodle. I don't know what kind of poodle. It wasn't a golden poodle. It wasn't a Labrador poodle, doodle or whatever. It was black and with white paws. So whatever that tells you about what kind of poodle it was, mixed with whatever, I don't know, but it was huge. It was like real big. And I'm like, okay, if that fly is going to bite anything, it's going to bite that dog. It's going to bite that dog, not me. So I sat there and I waited, waited until the dog passed. And then I ran into the house screaming just in case, noise would scare it more. And I made it in. And now we can do OJ, but I'm burning my house down and moving, I don't know, to Alaska or something after this because that was terrible. I'm not scared of bugs normally, ever. Bugs don't scare me. That thing did. The first people said when I Googled it, they climb in your nose and ears. No, the hell he doesn't. He's this big. What's he looking for? What color pen was used on that day? No, I need a gun. Forget bug spray. What are they called? You prop it on your arm and then it shoots a missile out. So a lot of people shoot it backwards. What is that called?
On 2/22nd, having a difficult time locating these particular items.
What, can you tell from your other notes who returned those? Or can you?
Well, there were items that were returned by Mr. Raquel to ECU
Bazooka.
on the 22nd.
That's what I need. I need a bazooka.
That's all right. But when you reviewed this board initially, did you check some document to see that these particular items were returned to ECU on the 22nd?
I checked documents that were in a notebook at the DA's office. I did not bring all the notes that we have associated with, just things I was directly involved with.
Now, with respect to the cell on number 6 where it says DOJ 22895, does that reflect the date that it went out?
Yes,
And the coin envelope on that particular cell is an original envelope or a transmittal envelope?
I'll have to take a look at the picture. That particular envelope is one that was prepared by Mr. Yamauchi, not the original envelope.
Now, with respect to number 7, did you go through the same verification process that you just described with respect to number 6?
Yes, I did.
And you also looked at the photographs to verify that they were, in fact, photographs that were prepared by the items that were prepared by the analyst that actually did the shipping?
Yes.
Now, with respect to the items that are numbered 12 and 49 that say returned on 3/9/95 from DOJ, did you verify that those were in fact returned on that date?
Yes.
And do you know who actually put them back in ECU?
Not at this point, no.
Okay, but at any rate, you did verify that that either yourself or one of your criminalists did that.
That's correct.
And what about the items that were returned on 11/22/94, 13 and 305?
Yes.
Okay, you verified that those were in fact returned on that date and rebooked into ECU.
But they were returned on that date. They were not rebooked into the unit or into ECU at that time.
At that time, where did they go?
They were stored in the serology freezer.
And with respect to a 305, was that one of the items that you removed from the Bronco?
As item number 305, that's correct.
Okay. And when it came back, it was rebooked as another item number?
Yes.
Why was that?
That is a procedure that we had in place regarding evidence that was submitted to outside agencies for analysis. Whenever, as I described earlier, there are types of DNA analysis that we don't perform in our laboratory. So when we want that work done, we send it out to Cellmark Diagnostics for them to perform the testing. It was our policy that the items would be sent out to the laboratory, then what we received back from Cellmark would be rebooked as a new item. We would not necessarily go through it, but retain it in sealed condition from that laboratory, create a new item number for it, and return it to our evidence control unit.
So when 305 rebooked as 401, once it came back from the Department of Justice, was sent out to the Department of Justice again on May the 9th, was it sent out under item number 401 or 305?
Well, the date when it was sent back out is March the 9th,
I'm sorry, yeah, right.
and it would have been sent out as 401, referencing it back to 305.
Okay. And did you also check the icons on these to see that it was just swatches that were sent out on 6, 7, 12, 49, 56, and 305?
Yes, I did.
And you looked at the transmittal envelopes that are in the column that says to outside lab to verify those?
Yes.
Now, with respect to item number 13, there's an entry under the date to defense, the column to defense on 2/16/95 at SID. What is that reference?
That references a viewing of that item or inspection of that item within our laboratory. It didn't actually get sent anywhere.
So it didn't actually leave the laboratory on that particular, well, it didn't leave the laboratory to go to the defense on that date.
That's correct. That's within the SID facility.
And did it leave the laboratory to go somewhere on 2/16?
Yes, it did,
Where?
to the FBI.
And as to item number 17, the envelope containing a vial of blood, was that entire envelope and blood vial sent somewhere on April the 3rd?
Yes, it was,
And where was it sent?
to the FBI.
Okay, thank you. Now, on June the 29th of last year, did you participate in an inventory that was done at the Los Angeles Police Department of certain of the evidence in this case?
Yes, I did.
And who was present during that inventory?
That inventory was performed with myself, Mr. Yamauchi was present, and Ms. Kessler.
And did you look at the SOX item number 13, bearing the DR number in this case during that inventory?
Yes, I did.
Was that the first time that you actually saw that item?
That's correct.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to mark as people's next in order, I think it's 213, a page from the inventory sheet of 629. It's the second page.
213. Can you fine focus that just a little more?
Still a little bit out of focus.
No, not a new witness yet. I think we have another 2 days, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Can we see, can you see the area that says 13 SOX?
Yes, I can.
Once we get to about here,
Can
we
you
might
read what it
get
says to the right of the SOX?
a new attorney. No, here, no.
Is that navy blue slash?
Oh, I'm
black?
wrong. No new
I made
attorney
out the
today.
black, and
Wait,
as soon as you mentioned the navy blue, that is what is written there with the slash.
right here is a new
Whose
attorney.
handwriting is this?
That's mine.
Now, okay. If we can see the other end of this column, 13. Can we get a little bit more? Can we see the top of the document too? Now, sir, there are 3 columns that you can see in this frame. One is analysis performed. That's on the left as we're looking at the document now. What does that refer to?
That was an area where we could record what type of work had been done on that item up to that date.
And for item number 13, did you record anything in that column?
No, I did not,
Why not?
because nothing had been done with that item yet.
And then there's a column that says comments that's on the right as we're looking at this document.
That's correct.
And what's that for?
Well, that was any sort of comment, either a greater description of the item, miscellaneous information about it, potentially what additional work we would be doing with that item.
What did you write in that column?
In quotes, I have dress socks to give me an indication that they are, a thin dress style sock rather than a heavy athletic sock or something like that. I have the words blood search indicating that's our intent to do that at some point. And then I also have in parentheses, none obvious.
Well, did you actually do a blood search on this day on the 29th?
It's just a quick visual inspection of the item,
So why did you say blood search to be done?
because that was not an analysis at that point. We opened them up, took a look at them, and indicated that that's something that we'd someday be performing.
Why did you want to perform one in the future?
Seemed like a legitimate thing to do on that piece of evidence. It was an item of clothing. The quick inspection that was done in the office was insufficient, particularly due to its color. And we were not there to do a scientific analysis. It was something that was planned.
Well, shouldn't you be able to see blood if there was blood on there?
It depends on the color and the type of material it's on.
How often in your experience as a serologist do you find blood on fabrics based upon testing that you did not see with your eyes?
Well, it happens occasionally. It's not a regular thing. The conditions have to be just right to make it difficult to see.
What are those conditions?
Most notably, black materials, like a black leather jacket, very difficult to see blood on. Black denim, Levi's, that type of thing, difficult to see blood on, and black material.
Okay. I'd like to mark as people's next in order a photograph depicting one that says SOC A on the reverse, and it has a little writing up in the upper right-hand corner that says 13A as
Right.
people's 214. Can I make that 214A?
Yes. Since it's stock A. And Mr. Blazer, you've seen that? All right.
And as 214B, what appears to be another sock, and it has various writing. Just for identification purposes, the writing contains the numbers 42, C, B, various other writing.
All right, 214B. Proceed.
Thank you. So showing you people's 214A for identification. Maybe we can get a zoom in on the area with the writing near the heel. Okay, do you recognize this item?
Yes, I do.
And is there anything on it that you placed on the item?
Yes.
What?
That whitish notation that's directly on the sock itself, there's a arrow that points, I was going to say left, now down. And now upside down, adjacent to the left of the arrow, is the designation 15A, or excuse me, 13A. It's very hard to write on material with a pen, ink pen.
What number A?
13A.
Okay. And did someone take a cutting from that area?
Yes,
Who did that?
I did.
All right. Now, did you do that on some date after 6/29?
Yes.
Direct your attention to the date of September the 18th. Can you take a look at your notes pertaining to that date and see whether you did any work on the sock?
I'm referring to analyzed evidence report and associated notes. In particular, L 371, 372, 373, and then L partially cut off. It looks like 385.
Sure.
All right, proceed, counsel.
Now, sir, what date did you look at this for the purposes of commencing the testing that you performed?
On September 18th, 1994,
When was the cutting 13A made?
on that same date, I believe.
And when you saw the sock on the September the 18th, at that time, did you see anything that stood out and you recognized as being blood?
Well, initially,
Sustained.
What did you see?
upon removing the socks from the bag, basically I was looking at the same thing as what I'd seen on the 29th. Upon closer examination with different lighting, I was able to discern that there were some stained areas on the sock.
Okay, now when you say that initially, before you used different lighting, you pulled it out and you saw the same thing as on the 29th, what same thing?
Well, the fact that they were black socks that did not have large obvious stains on them.
And then when you say that you took a closer look with different lighting, what did you see?
I was able to discern that there were stained areas on the socks.
And can you describe what these stained areas look like?
They really just look like a darker area of the sock themselves.
Was one of these stained areas in the area of 13A?
Yes,
But we can't see it on the photograph? Or can
that's
we?
correct.
Let's try to get a little closer to see if we can see anything. I don't know if you can see anything now. I can't make anything out. Maybe can you see anything on there?
As far as a visible stain?
Yeah.
No, I cannot.
And how long did you have to search when you were looking at it on the 18th before you could actually see something visibly?
Oh, it was probably, once I had them spread out and was down looking at them initially, I would say I started seeing something within a matter of a minute or two. The thing is, as you get to look at it, and as your eyes become accustomed to what you're looking for, it became apparent that there were other stains on the socks.
Now, at that time, could you tell based upon your training and experience, what you were looking at?
Just by looking at the sock,
Yes.
at that point, I just had a darkened area. I didn't know what it was.
So you could not tell for sure that, well, did you form an opinion that it was blood, or was it just you didn't know?
It's a stain.
Did you form any opinions at that time as to what the stain was that you were looking at?
No, I did not.
Now maybe we can see the other sock that's been marked as People's 113B, I think. 213. I'm sorry, it's 214B.
214 A and B. This is 214 B.
Right.
All right.
Can we see is that the whole photograph? So directing your attention now to People's 214B for identification. Does that represent a photograph of one of the other socks as number 13?
That appears to be black sock, like number 13.
Now, when you saw this particular black sock or the other black sock, did you see any obvious staining on that?
None obvious, no.
And did you see any upon further examination?
Yes, I did.
What did you see upon further examination?
Same thing. There were some small, kind of darker areas on it that, as you allow your eyes to focus along with having seen the other one, started becoming apparent.
Were they similar to the stains that you saw on the other sock?
Well, similar in general appearance, not necessarily size or location.
That's what I meant. And at the time that you took a closer look and your eyes adjusted, did you form any opinion at that time as to what the stain was?
No, I did not.
All right, thank you. Now, in your experience, Mr. Matheson, what does dried blood look like?
Kind of depends on what surface it's on, but as blood dries, it gets darker, going from a reddish to a more reddish brown, and eventually can look almost black.
Do you know how long it would take typically a dot of blood that's deposited outdoors on concrete, say, before it turns from a red to a brown?
Sustained.
Well, have you ever had occasion to observe that, a dot that was red and then later on turned brown?
Yes.
And how long, is that something that you could predict, or does it depend on the circumstances, how long it takes?
Depends on the circumstances.
But as it ages, it does change color.
That's correct.
And with respect to the stains that you've talked about on item number 13, what color were those, if you could detect any color?
All I could see was they were a darker area on these dark socks.
So could you see that they appeared to be black, red, brown, or just darker?
They were just darker.
Now, directing your attention to the date of June the 27th of last year, did you begin to do some testing on that date on item number 18?
Okay, I'm going to again refer to my notes.
17, I'm sorry, in this case.
Yes, I did.
And that's the reference file.
Item number 17, yes, the whole blood vial marked O.J. Simpson.
Now, when you started to do some testing, did you take anything out of the vial?
Yes,
What did you take?
blood.
And how did you take it?
I just take what's called a pipette. It's nothing more than a kind of a glass tube that comes down to almost a point. You have a rubber bulb on the top, insert that into the blood, draw out, approximately a milliliter, which not quite a teaspoon, something like that, and transfer that into it's called a centrifuge tube, a small plastic tube that has a cone shape on the bottom.
And you transfer it from the vial to the centrifuge tube with the pipette?
Yes.
What do you do with the pipette after you made the transfer?
Well, during the course of the analysis, normally the way I set up my analysis on a whole blood vial like this, I have what's called a test tube rack, which is nothing more than a plastic rack with a bunch of plastic prongs sticking up. The tube is placed down in there so it doesn't fall over. I place a clean test tube alongside of it, and then the centrifuge tube. When I'm not using the pipette, it just drops into the clean test tube to hold it.
Maybe I can show you Defense 1124 for identification again. Is this the same type of tube that the reference sample is? Top tube?
It's a purple top tube. I don't know if it's the exact same brand or not.
Okay, but that could be checked by looking at the photograph on our evidence disposition board.
If it's visible in the photograph, yes.
Now, are these tubes, the purple top tubes that you work with in serology, graduated?
No, there's no sort of indication of the volumes. Graduated meaning that there's marks on it that show the different volumes. It's just a glass tube.
Okay. Now, how much of the blood did you actually use in the testing that you commenced on the 27th?
I don't know exactly how much I used.
Can you give us an estimation as to how much you typically use or is consumed in the testing itself?
Normally, there's no records kept as far as they use a small quantity. The approximate milliliter that I mentioned before, I may use for all the testing, depending on whether I retain that centrifuge tube, return it to the blood vial, or whether I discard it. I could use anywhere from a small portion of that to the whole milliliter, milliliter and a half.
Well, how much is typically consumed in an ABO test, for example?
Well, what's actually consumed for the test is about 3 drops of the cells and about 3 drops of the serum.
So the test itself only requires a few drops?
That's correct.
So what do you do with the rest of the item, that the blood that you put into the microcentrifuge tube?
Actually, I've been inconsistent with that. Sometimes I returned it back to the blood vial, and sometimes I discard it.
Do you know what you did in this case?
No, I do not.
Do you know what the habit and custom is of other analysts in your laboratory who are working in serology?
Or within serology, some retain them, some discard them. We're not consistent with that.
So if you assume in a given case that you've poured out a milliliter of blood or pipetted out a milliliter of blood into a microcentrifuge tube and only 3 drops or so were used in the testing, and if you assume that you returned the remainder to the reference file, how much blood, if any, would be left on the pipetter and on the microcentrifuge tube?
Whether you're going to have some clinging to the walls of both of those, approximation maybe a quarter to a third of the original volume that you pulled out. The blood's fairly viscous. It'll retain to the sides of the containers.
Can you tell us in milliliters?
Well, given that, I'd say about a quarter of a milliliter or so.
Have you ever done any experiments or studies to try to figure out, using the technique that you usually use, how much blood is thrown away that was clinging to the sides of the microcentrifuge tube or the pipetter?
No, we've never had to deal with an issue of needing to know that.
Okay. Now, do you make any documentation at or around the time that this is performed on the 27th to record specifically how much blood you used in the analysis or pipetted into the microcentrifuge tube?
No,
Why not?
because it's never been an issue. We've never had to worry about how much was used during the course of the analysis.
Why have you never had to worry about that?
It's never been raised as an issue. We've never had to account for every portion of blood that was supplied to us. Like I mentioned before, in the case of living individuals, we knew that we had a source to get additional sample if it was needed. It just has never been an issue before.
So you don't have any written documents as to specifically whether you use the technique of pouring the microcentrifuge tube back into the reference file or the technique of throwing the remainder away?
That's correct.
I don't think they pour it back into the vial. I don't know why that bothers me. Because, like I said, blood is blood. So if they do put it back in the vial, it doesn't mean that it will contaminate anything in the vial. It certainly won't change the DNA. You can't just shake up DNA and then mix it up and change it. It's a strand of DNA. With CRISPR, I guess you can cut pieces, but just, I don't know. Okay. We did good for today. We did not get to the next lawyer because it was just too far. We got We got 45 minutes tomorrow until we get to a new lawyer, I think. But we're getting there, guys. We are getting there. And this is boring now, but you wait. Wait until you hear what questions the defense has for this guy. We're all going to be scratching our heads like, what the heck? That doesn't make any sense. I'm going to go burn my house down now. I should probably burn the neighbors down too, just to make sure that fly is gone. And buy a bazooka. Are they legal? Can I buy a bazooka? Am I allowed to buy a bazooka? I don't have any criminal record or mental disabilities. Am I allowed to own a bazooka? I feel like you shouldn't be allowed to own a bazooka. I feel no. So Kelly, here's what happened. They have a couple different offices. They closed one office in Pittsburgh. They didn't close it. They sold it to someone else. So the office in Pittsburgh is now owned by someone else. So Tiffany and Phoebe both man the phones for all the offices. Okay. Phoebe works in Pittsburgh. Tiffany works here, and there's the offices in Pittsburgh and Lancaster and Philadelphia, and there's a bunch of different offices. Well, that one office in Pittsburgh was sold, so Phoebe was sold with it. So Tiffany now doesn't have that office anymore, so she has less phone calls, but she has all the other offices, which means they do not want to give her off on Thursday because they would have to man the phones. There's no Phoebe anymore. So she doesn't work Saturdays anymore. They said they would rather not cover her on Thursdays, so they're not going to be open on Saturdays anymore. So she works every Thursday now, just like that. Just like that. They changed her schedule. So she works tomorrow. Wait, today is tomorrow. Wait, today is Friday. Yesterday was Thursday. She worked yesterday. So yeah, she does not work tomorrow. You're right. Tomorrow's Saturday. I finally caught up to you. It took me a while. I had to go the whole way around and around, but I did catch up to you. Oh, Nan, have a good day. Really do. Have a good day. I'll see you all again very soon. I know I didn't put out a video last night because I got lazy, but I'm going to work extra hard today, try to put out 3 videos to make up for my laziness yesterday. Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Goodbye.